That's quite nice, wasn't it?
Oh, bit of a funky one.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, there was a
little-
very piercing note in that though. That
Yeah. Yeah.
it was really good. I like the pieces.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Fingal, and welcome to the Hat Chat podcast, episode 67.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think
With
so.
your
I think it's
hosts.
67. Yeah.
I'm Chris
Yeah.
Trott,
I'm Ross Hornby.
And I'm Alex Smith.
and we're here tuning in every week on a whatever day it is that we release on podcast, but we live stream it on a Friday if you want to join us on
Indeed.
twitch.tv/chatfilms. I don't know why you would. Honestly, anything can happen. Someone could die on stream, but we'll see. Anyway,
Jesus Christ, we
it
said
gets
that the other day,
edited out.
didn't we?
Huh?
That like if somebody was live, like
At any moment.
at any moment,
Yeah.
a live streamer could just die on stream.
Yeah, and you're watching.
That could happen.
Yeah.
So
It
that's
has
the
happened,
worry.
hasn't it? Once or twice
it?
because of like someone that was really kind of unhealthy anyway decided to do like a really, really long stream. And
Oh,
then-
really? They died because of like exerting themselves on stream.
Or just
Like-
having loads and loads of energy drinks, being unhealthy in
Oh,
the first
God.
place, maybe having underlying health conditions. It's just like a cocktail of problems that ultimately led
Sounds
to that
it.
person dying on stream. So
Indeed, but it could happen. So watch out. Always
that's
be
why you should
prepared. Be
follow
prepared.
us. Follow us on twitch.tv to maybe watch one of us pass out.
Perish in front of your own eyes.
Yeah. We've had some hypotheticals being
We have.
chosen by our wonderful patrons. And in order of the most popular, I have the following. So, Smith, would you like to read out the one that they voted for the most?
So the first hypothetical that the Patreon crew has decided to pose us rather is: if you could spend a day talking to an animal, what animal would you choose, and what would you want to learn from them?
It's a weird question, but it's the
I
one that
mean-
they picked.
Is it obvious though? I mean, as in like, would you not just talk to your pet in the sense that you'd want to really communicate with
Understand it.
the one you share your home with
Yeah.
and a lot of your time? I mean, I talk to him anyway. He just doesn't talk back. So I would
There's
like to talk to Murphy and know what's going on inside his head. It would probably just be simple things like hungry, ball, want to play ball.
Do you reckon
So
it's that,
it might be simplified.
Do you reckon it's that element of once you know, it's kind of disappointing, and would you rather not know? Where it's like, oh, all these
Yeah.
like little clues and stuff that I've humanized about this dog, and then they always come up to me and nuzzle in. It's like, no, they're actually just
Yeah.
like smearing their odor on you, and you know those
Yeah.
little like base things that you apply emotions to. Ultimately, are
Also, like,
want to fuck.
Yeah,
fuck
what
things,
language? What
eat.
language do they speak? Do they speak
exactly, they might
specific
think
human
in a completely
language?
different way.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Like
assume-
certain things, like certain insects and things are literally like biomechanisms, as in like they're like, you know, like ants, for example, function as these incredible hives, but they're like ultra simple individuals, but they can do these amazing things. And a lot of it is like pheromone based, you know, like ants following trails and operating on
crazy,
like
isn't it?
very simple individual operating instructions. But as a group, they achieve such crazy things. Like, but you wouldn't want a conversation with an ant because like you'd ask them, what do you do? And they'd just be like, I move forward. That's
Yeah.
like, you know, that's it. Right. I follow that funny smell I like. So I think we have to presume here that A, we need to give a funny answer.
Of course,
And
yeah.
B,
Of course, yeah.
that the animal is indeed capable of using and functioning in the same methods of thought that we use.
I
I
reckon
suppose.
there's some out there, like dolphins would be interesting to speak to,
Yeah.
potentially. And then they'd, you know, unveil this conspiracy that they are actually the most sentient being on the planet, and that they're just biding their time and letting humanity kind of fizzle out so that they can become the dominant species, or they're forming an underground mass extinction event of humans, and that they're building weapons and stuff underwater.
I'd like to ask dolphins whether they've seen any aliens down there. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that'd be an interesting thing to talk to a dolphin about. Seen
Right.
any aliens?
I mean,
And
you
again,
probably
what's
broach
What's the
that subject
craziest
with
thing
anyone,
you've seen
right?
in the sea?
Yeah.
Surely we're aliens to them.
I mean, I don't actually often ask people, have you ever seen an alien? I usually think, what do you think what do you think they could be? You know, like if they exist, what do you think they could be? I think it's a more interesting conversation. Not,
and do you think you've seen an alien?
One time I was driving down the M32. I looked up off to the right, and I swear I saw something moving around, because I'm just like, it's just going to be a helicopter. You know, I'm not going to think anything of it.
Yeah.
Right. So. Now, I mean, I would like to ask a dolphin if they'd seen an alien. I'd like to ask a monkey what his favorite food is, just to like see, like, you know, is it bananas? Do they like bananas that much?
Figuring out preferences would be quite helpful, right? In terms of just figuring out kind of an order of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that'd be good for most animals to know how to.
Yeah, because we think we love and care for them, and we try to. Well, most people try to, in some form. But we don't really know what we're doing, and a lot of the time we're just paranoid, and we may very well be projecting our own thoughts and feelings onto something that does not think and operate in that way at all. You know, like I'm not sure how much of a meaningful relationship I can have with a crab, really. You know,
that's
true. Even lizards are a stretch. You know, like there definitely is some like behavioral stuff that you can use and have fun with, and they come up and talk to you.
So do you think they
don't talk to you?
They don't talk to you. Do you think you need to have like a relatability with them then? Like obviously you said monkeys, where it's like we're a little bit closer to kind of their form factor. So maybe and also they have like some of them have lips. Like you can speak to like an orangutan, and they actually could
prerequisite for Ross talking
shapes.
To you.
I don't know. It's just they can actually talk. They can actually use their mouth to talk. Whereas you're talking to a dolphin, you ain't getting shit.
Or a lizard. Lizards don't have lips either.
Well, I'm going to assume the question is a little spurious in that you just have an inherent understanding. Like
you can hear them in your head regardless. There's a communication with them.
That. There's a communication. You can understand.
I know what I want to learn from the most, though.
How do you really like hold your breath, though, dolphin? Like, how does it? Can I do that? Please teach me. Mm-hmm. And then they'd be like, no, you're an idiot. Biologically speaking, you couldn't. You'd drown. You fool. You're a human. Why are you asking me this question? And then I'd be like, well, fuck you, dolphin. I can't believe I wasted my one, like, being able to talk to an animal on you, asshole. Then I'd punch him, and I wouldn't give him any fish.
Oh, fair play. Really, that's a tough move, but I appreciate that.
You'd punch the dolphin as well, right on the nose. Do any of you ever think how weird it is that we use air to vibrate cords in our throat to make sounds in order to communicate with each other? Like,
the good thing that's weird, or it's just something we've known from
that is so weird.
Our own personal existence.
That is bizarre.
It is a
Think
very
about
strange. Like if you compare, maybe we're the weird ones where our communication is so specific and niche, and also we
don't have to use that to communicate.
No,
you could write something down, and we use our eyes and body language and.
But I mean, this is the primary way of imparting complex information, right? Sure. Like we encode it in speech and through. Well, no, what we do, we encode it into air vibrations, which is just mad. Imagine walking into a forest or walking into an aviary of some description, and all the birds are tweeting like mad in ultra complicated like patterns, you know, like that's essentially what speech is. Like we can control so much of it, and that would you'd just be like, bloody hell, this is a lot. Like the human brain is quite we're not that smart in our day-to-day, but we can do something as complicated as vibrate air at perfect points consistently.
Of course, yeah.
But we don't question that ability, do we? Which is, I guess, like when you go back to the ant thing and like ask them like, what do you do, and like how does it work? We couldn't, like someone that uneducated could explain like the larynx and like the vocal cords and stuff like that, and I just know it just happens, it just comes out, and I
inherently saying, how do you breathe? It's like, well, I just do.
Yeah,
I don't choose to breathe. I'm just automatically doing it unless you think about it now.
I imagine most of the animal kingdom. Manually breathing. About breathing, and you're like, oh, I haven't breathed in yet. I'll breathe in now. Yep, that's a deep one, and I'll breathe out again. And what if you stop?
If an ant asked you, was an intelligent ant, and said, well, how do you breathe? You go, well, I use my lungs. I know that much, and that's pretty much, something I just do it.
Thanks to this is like the distinction between innate and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like knowledge. But then also no, that's
it's conscious actions.
Bio-autonomous or something like that. Yeah. Well, it's like your heart as well. Like you know that beats like without conscious thought.
Now,
anyway, Trott, what were you gonna say?
I saw an interesting article that's got me thinking about it, about the real Mowgli from Jungle Book. Based on someone called Dina Sanichar. I probably pronounced that wrong. From India, the Pradesh jungle. They found him in 1867, raised by wolves and brought to an orphanage. Not the only one.
Raised by wolves is an interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so they were raised by wolves until...
Jesus, this guy looks like an absolute mess. I mean, he doesn't look as...
Sorry, he was raised by wolves. Is that correct?
Have you seen this guy?
I'll find the article. Hang on.
Yes, it's raised by wolves. I will put it on screen. 1 second.
Okay.
Here we go. For those watching, of course. There you go. Raised by wolves. But of course, the story that Disney told and was obviously written by the original. I don't know who wrote the original Jungle Book, but not so.
Was that Rudyard Kipling? It just said there.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, because he was raised by wolves, apparently there's a certain period when you're growing that you learn a language, right? You learn to speak English or whatever. Apparently, past a certain point, if you haven't learned a language, it becomes near impossible to learn to speak. So this Dina, was unable to speak until he wasn't able to speak at all for his entire life. He was able to become a bit more human in a lot of traits, wear clothes and start standing upright. But for a long time, they had to train him for not to stand upright, not to do things like growl at stuff instead of saying
so we
no
could
thanks.
vocalize in some way, like the growling, for example. There was some vocalizations, but no form factor to it. There's no real structure.
Yeah, and possessive of bones and stuff like that. It was strange, just how much of a wolf he was, and how hard it was to teach him to just be a human again, which I found fascinating. You could literally raise a kid with wolves, and they would think they were a wolf. They were 5 or 6 when they were discovered. So that's formative years.
This is feral children, essentially. This is what this is. There's not a small part of psychology, but this is something to do with psychology. Is quite an interesting studies because of the nature of like you say, what if a human being was never exposed to humanity from the start? What would they learn, or what would be innate? What it would allow you to essentially do scientific tests, like an A/B study of, because it's not ethical, obviously, to raise a human being outside of human contact in any other circumstance. But yeah, feral children. There's quite a few incidents of feral children in the last few hundred years, and they're all quite interesting, all quite sad. I mean, there's no good stories really. It doesn't really do a human being much good to be raised on their own or raised by animals.
What about small kind of indigenous tribes that are kind of unknown to external forces? So they're just on their own, a very small community, and they've educated themselves in whatever language they've come up with. Is that a thing now still?
Yeah.
Or is
that? Well, I mean, all languages.
So I remember a few years ago, there was a story of some idiot who decided to try and approach a known indigenous tribe, but then got killed, shot with arrows. And then obviously didn't survive to tell any more than that. But it's interesting to think could be a similar situation, but obviously a small group of people. So what kind of language do you think they're coming up with? Is it a known language or just their own thing? And it's just
I'm sure they're coming up with their own thing, but based on the biological abilities of the human body, right? So they still have vocal cords and things like that. So they're going to utilize everything they have to the best of their ability and what's suitable for their environment. So I assume making calls and things like that to each other to alert for danger or safety, for food or for not food. Those things would develop over time, and they would be passed down the generations because they're able to record.
It's like how all languages probably initially developed.
It'd just be done at different speeds, and based on how.
Well, I mean, not even or how long that tribe has existed, how long they've been isolated, whether or not they're fully isolated or not, because they may have had influences over the years. But I'm sure they probably have their own language if they are truly isolated.
What I'd like to do is take Ross, for example, and give him the Tom Hanks Castaway situation. We'll put him back out into nature in a jungle and see what he's like in like 10 to 12 years. And would he lose his humanity a little bit? Would he lose your ability to speak? I
almost lost my mind in the pandemic. So I think 12 years, I think
that would do it.
I mean, pretty loopy and pretty just off the register there. But who knows? I mean, obviously, I've learned a lot up to this point. So, I mean, I guess I'm going to keep this knowledge that I've got.
But it's all like, mostly what you've learned is in a civilized society where convenience is on your doorstep. You'd have, say you survived, right? 10, 12 years, you pick up those basic survival skills. Somehow you fluked your way through and you become one with nature. You know how to like get fresh water and fend for yourself and have a shelter and whatnot.
Yeah.
All of that other stuff, like how Logic Pro works and recording and plugins and stuff like that, not useful for your surroundings 10 to 12 years later. Do you reckon that would all
how to use that in itself as well? But yeah, no, I think I could barely strike a fire the other day. So I had tools available when we were struggling. All of us were struggling. Yeah. So I guess obviously given enough time, I think I could maybe get two sticks together and start a fire and maybe start from the scratch. But
the problem is if
I've no real training in that. Of course, yeah.
Like if it's wet, you're screwed. Like
we were using moister than.
You require such dry tinder to spark, like using a small ferro rod like we were using. And like,
how did we survive up to this point? You know,
I mean, you can try a different system. You could try using the bow and pole. The one where they rotate a pole very quickly in an area to create friction. That would probably work better in slightly damp wood, I imagine. But hell, no, it's hard. Yeah, it is.
No, hard. I think survival I'd struggle big time. I'd probably die within a few days. Trump. Let's be honest.
Cool.
Well, another thing is you would keep the fire going. So once you had any source of fire, you would keep the fire going, and you could take the fire with you by, carrying a flaming torch would be one way of doing it. You wouldn't be able to travel very far without it going out, but that would be another way to sort of move around and maintain more
fires. Yeah,
and this is presuming that you don't mind being found,
party, mate.
because just have a gender reveal party
easy,
and burn down. They had to wrap General Sherman in aluminium to protect it.
That's so horrifying to read about that. I read that this morning. Yeah, where basically when we went there, the Sequoia National Park is beautiful. Had some lightning strikes that caused some fires, and they're desperately trying to protect some of the trees there. General Sherman being 2,500 years old. Potentially predicted. I don't think they know the exact age, but it was a hunky tree, big old chunk of a tree, giant. So I'm glad they're trying to protect it, but I don't know if the redwoods are supposedly good against fire necessarily, but still, though, it'd be tragic to see that forest go down.
Well, it was just such a nice place as well. The Grove of Giants, or whatever they called it, all the huge trees, and it's just like. Also, I just think about all the animals and ecosystems that are around these forests as well. It's not just trees burning. Like some trees can grow back. I get that, and some trees have better fire protection. Some trees actually require a fire every so often in order to maintain them. But it's all the little animals and stuff are getting
forest, right?
burnt to hell. Yeah,
because it opens up some light and lets other stuff grow as well. So there are some factors that.
But you don't want the whole forest burning.
Of course
that's
not,
the problem. No. Yeah, but it's because it's so damn dry and it's so damn hot because of climate change, and it's happening faster. I mean, I don't want to make it. I mean, I don't. Maybe you should make everyone nervous about it, because the thing is, I think a lot of people do realize. I don't think there's many people that don't realize that climate change is a big problem, but it's it seems to be getting a lot worse. Unless it's not just social media making me mad, I don't know. But no, it is.
It's a combo.
It is concerning. Anyway,
so we did the animal thing. What's next? Patreon number 2 says. Go on.
I just have a little quickie in between. It can be answered really quickly. So. I saw a TikTok, and this is the base of all knowledge now. It's where you get your facts. Someone said that there's increasing evidence and studies from scientists that we actually share a collective consciousness and that you don't actually truly die and that we are all one and the same system, and that it's like kind of like Buddhism in a way where you just pass on because energy never really gets destroyed. You just emerge elsewhere in the universe and existence. So thoughts on that?
That seems like that's not a quick question, Trott. You just said it was like a yes or no answer.
Do you have a link to this? What was the actual? Did you say some people have been suggesting
flicking
this?
through? Okay, I didn't save it. It's an interesting springboard for a conversation, though, right? Maybe too big.
Is that almost like with the mentality of like reincarnation, though? Is that what you're kind of?
Not necessarily like you're going to come back on Earth
spiritually.
As this thing. No, not even spiritual. No? Just like
I mean, logically, if the universe is infinite and if energy cannot be destroyed, as you say, then one day, somewhere, all of the energy and all of the things that make you up, infinite monkeys, infinite typewriters, you could exist again somewhere. Let's say you rot and die and disappear into the ground, and then the Earth in a billion years explodes, and then you get shot across the infinite cosmos, and one day, by just infinite chance, you reassemble with everybody else. That could happen. I don't think the universe is actually infinite, though, or rather we're discovering it may not be totally infinite and always expanding. It might not continue to do that forever. So therefore, that entire idea of infinite monkeys, infinite typewriters, the idea that with an infinite number of chances and an infinite number of possibilities, everything will happen eventually, is this idea. It's possible. Everything is possible if that is true. However, if we take that out the window and that kind of thinking out the window of what is possible, I would say from every piece of evidence that I've experienced and I've seen, that the idea that we share a group consciousness is extremely unlikely. I think that we are cursed with a level of intelligence that allows us to contemplate our own existence, and it gives us some amazing things and amazing experiences and amazing feelings. But I don't think that it extends beyond the end of our biomechanical setup functioning. I don't think it does. I think that the reason we can think and the reason we can contemplate is because we're just evolutionarily lucky. Our brains are very big. We have a lot of links that we can create in our minds, and it allows us to do these amazing things, and it's brilliant, and we're so lucky to be that. But I don't think there's any reason why after death and after our bodies stopping and decomposing and going back into the ground, being that energy that we take up throughout our lives, I don't think there's any reason why consciousness would exist beyond that, personally.
Oh, that's my day.
There's no way to measure something like that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the big question, isn't it? The consciousness is such a curious thing. And, transferring that is kind of... Are people even working on that? I mean, in a digital form, aren't they? Of how to store memory and... whatever Elon Musk is doing with those pigs, there's something going on there.
Well,
that's also, more like neuro. Is that not neuro control, or is that something else?
Yeah, it's interfering.
It's mechanical interface with the brain. Yeah, which is the first step to something. Yeah.
It also, I think, the more we study the brain and our consciousness, the more we realize how flawed it also is, and that all of our perceived consciousness and understanding of reality is through a distorted lens sometimes. So there is that. I just want to come back as a fucking meerkat. I was just trying to get to that point.
You want to get to that? Yeah, of course.
Right,
what animal would you want to come back as? Well, this is the thing. Like, I really like the idea of reincarnation. I think it's a really interesting idea, and it would be really cool if that was a thing. But there's also zero way to measure that, or if that ever happened. But then you have to think about all of the living organisms on the planet that you could potentially come back as, and do you really want to come back as, like, I don't know, it's fucking a mite or an earworm or a...
Yeah, right.
There's
some
all sorts
form of mindless parasite. Yeah.
Sure, you wouldn't last long, but...
unless you're turtle.
If you're going to believe in that, be prepared, because you could just come back as, some sort of weird organism that, who knows what exists in the sea still.
I remember reading... I was reading Animorphs as a kid, and
it's a good
in one of the storylines, I don't know if you remember, if they stayed in their animal form too long, they got stuck like it. Do you remember that with animals?
Yeah, I do.
And so there was always this quite terrifying reality of like, if one of them gets stuck in a certain situation, they're going to have to stay like that. But what happened was one of them, I can't remember his name, but one of the guys gets stuck as his like hawk form. Tobias, is it?
Yeah,
I don't know. And the book is really interesting. And the book kind of went into this whole idea of like him getting used to just being a peregrine falcon. And it was really interesting. And I was like, this is kind of horrible, but also he is a peregrine falcon, which is one of the fastest birds of prey, you know, and it talked about how...
You don't get to enjoy the life he had before. So you can't sit at a dinner table with humans and kind of socialize or do anything. You are now just a falcon, which is a different way of living entirely. You couldn't even conceptually imagine how it would be to live as a peregrine falcon, really.
Right. It's a red-tailed hawk. Sorry. I mean, it doesn't really matter. A bird of prey.
Yeah.
But I thought, I mean, I would love to be a bird of prey if I was to come back. I think it looks great fun. You get to fly around. You get to live in beautiful places. You get to
flying would be good.
You get to just fly about. I don't know. I think that'd be really cool. I wouldn't want to be the one that flies in front of the truck and gets like obliterated. You know, you see that sometimes with birds, they
just don't
hit. Just dodge
all
the
those
roads.
Pheasants we saw in Scotland just laid to waste on the side of the road, where it's just
the
tiny brains. They don't know what a car is.
I think considering like most of the animal kingdom don't last that long, right? Because either are mutilated and killed, or you just don't have a long lifespan. You could just cycle through the entire animal kingdom in a very short space of time, relatively speaking. So you get to experience it all, but never really appreciate it because you can't come back as the new thing or come back as a human and be like, I was a snake, a worm,
in my former life. I was a turtle for almost 100 years, guys.
You were a turtle.
I remember every year, every single year. Or tortoise, rather.
I was called Terry, and I had this owner for a while until he died, who just put a webcam on me and streamed playing Overwatch. Anyway, at this point, I'd like to say a big thank you to our patrons who are listening to this completely ad-free, and to everyone else on a podcasting platform. Unfortunately, I have to deal with an ad. And we're back from that ad. So if you didn't hear one, congratulations. Not all ads are served in your relative country and or podcasting platform. But
lucky you.
Lucky you. But you can be guaranteed to not have ads if you support us on Patreon. And we really thank you for doing that. We put up the hypotheticals every week so you can choose which one we talk about first. And thanks. You get credited at the end of the video as well. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? From these big questions. I don't know why you brought it up about consciousness, so I think we should move on.
Wow. That's a very big question. If anything, it has its own, moment in our podcasts.
Indeed.
That's a big one.
It was deep.
Reincarnate. Jesus. Okay. Well, do you want to do funny news? Or this week I heard /saw?
Absolutely.
Which, there was a really interesting one, actually, which might be interesting to you as well, which I found earlier on about... the title is "Astronaut Blood Can Be Used to Make Concrete on Mars," scientists say. Have you heard about this at all?
No.
So apparently it would cost too much to even send a single brick to Mars. It would apparently cost about $2 million with estimates to send just a brick, which obviously seems ridiculous considering you could probably use some of the resources there. But astronauts can simply make their own concrete on site using Martian dust and their own blood, according to findings published in a journal called Materials Today Bio. I know you're up on your journal, so you should have read it, right?
Yeah, I saw this one this morning,
According to the study, scientists have already made a concrete-like substance called astrocrete using human blood and a synthetic regolith? Regolith? I don't know.
Regolith.
Regolith, which is a scientific term for soil on Mars and the Moon. The mixture works because of human serum albumin, a common protein found in the plasma of human blood. The protein curdles when it's dehydrated, creating a strong bonding agent that pulls the dust together. I just found this really, really interesting that you could, create...
Yeah, this is really cool.
They could create buildings made from scientists' blood which is literally the blood, sweat, and tears are building...
Martian
building bricks
shelters.
of the next civilization, which is just quite an interesting thing I saw. Or they could of course use animal blood, but
they said also that when they add urea. When they add urea to the mix as well, which comes from sweat, tears, and urine, it increases the strength of the astrocrete by 300%. Yeah. It can be shaped into any form and can even be used in 3D printing. It does sound like a great idea.
It does.
I don't know how much of it you need though. Like,
well, this is it.
What do you send up an astronaut with a treadmill? And like, you know, is that like
just,
where are they getting the water from? Is there ice on Mars that we can get some water from? Like,
yeah,
there is.
There's water.
Did they find ice recently?
They found it a decade ago.
Wasn't it? Is it underground or something? I can't remember what the parameters were, but yeah, I guess they do. But yeah, you need a lot. You need a lot of people.
Right. What if we could do a thing where when people died, they could be volunteered to be shot at Mars in like a railgun. Like we wrap them up in like, I don't know, some form of material. Right. We like vacuum pack the fuckers. And then we load them into a railgun, aim them at Mars, and then we have a point on Mars, which is like the receiving end. And then once you die, you get fired off to Mars, and then they get to extract all the blood and water and things, and you know, it reduces the amount of people on Earth. And maybe we should be using them to replenish the Earth, though, in the world. Is probably another good point, because everything in an ecosystem, once it's taken, it goes into something else, and then it goes back round again, right? So like. The chameleon we've got it. It's a bioactive thing. So I give him food. That's the input, the fuel. I give him food. He eats it. He poops it out. I've got isopods, like little wood lice, on the floor of the place. They eat his poo that out. And then I've got springtails, these microscopic little creatures in the soil, which then mulch out the woodlice poo into the soil, which helps the plants grow, right? And if I was to take any element of that out, it would stop it from working. So a human being eats food throughout their entire life, right? We grow it on the planet. We put the energy in to grow that food. We take it, and then we eat it, and then we grow, and then we poop, right? But we need to make sure that some of the energy that we're absorbing throughout our lifetimes goes back into the earth. Otherwise, we'll just starve it and it'll die.
Well, I shit in the woods yesterday, so I'm doing my part.
You did shit in the woods. Nice.
Human shit's actually quite complicated to turn into
does a Trott shit in the woods?
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Do you want to talk about that for a moment, Trott?
You can talk about that, mate.
What, shitting in the woods?
How was it? Yeah, sure.
I mean, yeah, it's as you'd expect. Thankfully, Smith gave us the hot tip of you need to remove all the lower half. Otherwise, you're going to shit straight into your underwear.
Yeah.
Oh, no. The problem I have is I pee all over my trousers in front of me because, like, so you got to strip off the bottom.
Strip off the bottom. Really squat down, because I think that helps the positioning and the traction and just letting it all out. I thought I'd have issues being like, this is not a comfortable situation. I'm not going to be able to do it. I just fell out like a flume, really. It was amazing. I felt like at that moment I had a moment of euphoric connection to nature, where I felt like this is it. You know,
this is what it would be like if you lived in nature.
Woods. And I'm surrounded by trees and a gentle rustling of leaves, and just that smell of human feces just wafted up. I was like, nope, I should probably get my trousers back on and get the hell out of here and cover that up.
Did you not feel all the bugs desperately running up your poo like a land bridge up into your asshole?
Land bridge.
I didn't even consider that. But there were a lot of those daddy long legs and other little...
Oh, there were.
You know why? Apparently this is one of the biggest seasons for them we've had in a long time. There's a bloom because of the hot weather mixed with lots of rain. We've had a real good season for insects, which is a good news, really, because we need more insects because they fund most of those ecosystems. But daddy long legs aren't particularly nutritious, I don't think. No. So
they're common in September as well, aren't they? In general,
3 days. Is it?
3 days. That's it.
Is it true that they have like a poison, but they can't administer it because they don't have teeth?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that just a myth?
The mouth doesn't open wide. They have a very toxic, like poison, but venom rather, not poison. It's a venom. It's an urban legend, is it? Yeah, but they couldn't open their mouths wide enough or something, was what I heard as well. That's
just one of those things. It's like they're actually really poison.
Crane flies is what we're talking about, by the way.
Crane flies, yeah.
Crane flies.
Daddy long legs are a nickname for them here.
Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, it's incorrect to think that.
But yeah,
one area of confusion is with the terms venomous and poisonous, which are not interchangeable. Of course, that was clarified there by Smith.
Cranefly facts.
Most folks who retell this tale have no idea they're referring to two completely different separate groups of animals: daddy longlegs and daddy longleg spiders. So there are different spiders. I don't think. Do we have the spider version here?
Spiders?
Yeah. There's a picture. I mean, we're going to put on the page for you, Trott. Look at the spiders. They look like daddy longlegs, but obviously they've got little spider body. They've got similar like spindly legs. But there's loads of spiders like that, so maybe we do have them.
Apparently, they're a bit of a pest because their larvae lives in the top layers of soil where they feed on the roots, root hairs, and crown of crops, stunting their growth or killing the plants. So this might be that we have even less food available next year because of all of this boom.
Yeah.
So buy stocks.
Here, some have defensive secretions that might be toxic to small animals if ingested. Right. So for these daddy longlegs, the tail is clearly false.
Right.
But
there you go.
There you go. So don't worry about daddy longlegs. You know, they'll just be annoying and flap around and not sure. I mean, we saw them literally jump into the fire. They don't give a shit. They will just eat themselves into a burning flame. So there you go.
But to add to that, I know we're in funny news, Thash, this week. We heard saw, but we did see plenty of that because we were out in nature in Wales. If you don't know, we spent the night in a big 7-meter bell tent, us three and Craig, who did our camera stuff. And we decided to climb the tallest mountain in South Wales and definitely south of Snowdonia in the UK. So that was quite the excursion. Not only that, we decided to take an entire PC on our backs to the top, complete with the ability to power it with a massive block battery that we charged with solar panels. It was a ridiculous challenge that we set ourselves.
I think the battery monitor must have weighed almost 15 kilograms, probably close to.
Smith brought his massive.
It was part of a brand deal thing that we're doing as well. So it's not just we just thought, let's just lug a load of unnecessary gear up a hill. It was part of that, so that's the reason. But there's going to be a nice little vlog on our main Hat Films channel if you want to see that at some point soon, hopefully.
Yes. Well, Craig is already looking at the footage, and it seems really good so far. So there'll be at least 2 videos coming out on that. So if you're not subscribed to us already on YouTube, just search for Hat Films and subscribe to that one that has the most subs.
Indeed. Are you subscribed to both if you want? I mean, there's gameplay stuff on there as well on our gaming.
Stuff. Yeah, Bigfoot recently. Very exciting.
Yeah, people really, really like that Bigfoot again. We played it like 4 years ago. And it's had a lot of updates since then. And it's really fun. It's really hard though. The bloody Bigfoot's a tank.
He's a tough lad.
Really, really too hard. I mean, if we had like 20 of us with like a lot of ammo, maybe, you know.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the tank.
Maybe like if we had like a Gatling gun. If we had like some sort of like anti-ship weapon. I don't know, like something like that could.
A new option would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. Just blown into pieces with a 30 cal.
Well, thankfully we didn't have to deal with a Bigfoot of any kind in Penny.
I'd really like to play as Bigfoot. That's what I'm saying. Tell you what, there's not going to be a Bigfoot in the Sequoia National Park now, is it? They've burnt those fuckers out. You tell me there's any Bigfoot left in California, I'm not going to believe you.
Maybe he's relocated.
That's going to be a hairless Bigfoot now.
He could have run away and he's in a different national park now. You never know.
Maybe he could have ran away. That's true, Trott.
Could be living among people now.
Maybe we should do a real life series where we try and find Bigfoot ourselves, even though many
would be fun. It'd be fun to just go back into the forest, but it would be horrifying because more likely we'll stumble across a bear. That's where we'd just be like, get your bear mace. I don't know what I'm doing.
Unequipped to deal with that.
Bear mace just sprayed everywhere. To my eyes.
Like Ross said before, we have no survival. Well, Ross doesn't have any survival skills. I certainly don't.
Yeah.
We die. Well, we'd be bait, and then Smith will get away, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably die of apathy eventually, or to spite myself.
Oh my god!
I'd just be like, yeah. It'd just be fruitless, wouldn't it? Because as soon as you come up against another group of human beings, it would probably just be the most paranoid experience ever. You'd just be like,
yeah.
Are you gonna steal all of our stuff? It's gonna be like instantly tribal, and I just don't think I could deal with humanity going back to just like everybody being tribal again. I'm just don't want that life, you know.
I literally just meant us going out looking for Bigfoot, not just like
No.
Yeah, I thought we were back on the whole.
You can also do the Blair Witch thing at the same time if you want.
Two birds. Mix it up like a genre mashup.
Yeah.
We're hunting for Bigfoot, but we found a
big witch.
Ghost witch story. I don't know.
Blairfoot, big witch, whichever.
Yeah.
We went to look for Bigfoot, but Bigfoot was inside us all along. We are Bigfoot. We're the menace in the woods.
Or we could follow loads of hikers around and just leave loads of giant footprints and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Or we
could be part of the problem. Oh, Murphy's.
We could shave. We could shave Ross's arms and then cover me in glue. And make me Bigfoot.
Wow.
Yeah.
I might run out of arm hair, but
no,
you have those as well. Sprinkle those on.
Great. I'll jump into a paddling pool of PVA. You guys shave all of your body hair off and just throw it on me. And then I just run around in like a pair of budgie smugglers with all this pube hair glued to me, just shouting, "Watch out, I'm Bigfoot, I'm Bigfoot." And then it'd be terrifying. I'd probably sort of be committed almost immediately, I imagine.
You'd get shot first, I think.
To
be honest.
I'm going to bag Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Got him. Yeah.
Well, on that note, everybody, be safe out there. If you're close to one of the places that has had Bigfoot sightings or lightning strikes, you know, that's the other big worry. Wildfires.
Which started these two wildfires.
Or if you know anyone's about to do a gender reveal, maybe just
say,
wait, not to.
Stop. Nobody cares that much about your goddamn baby.
Text everyone.
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's not a big deal.
Just so you know, we don't care.
No one gives a shit.
Oh, thank God, it's a boy.
This forest is on fire. Shit.
Oh, God. The flammable pieces of confetti everywhere.
Yeah, right. I don't understand. How, like, what? I don't understand a lot of things. We shouldn't start that conversation.
No.
No, don't
it's
get
all
it.
down to self-worth and how valuable people consider themselves over others. I think that's what it comes down to. Is like, this is so important that it needs to be celebrated this much.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to know about it.
People like milestones, but still. Yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe they don't have the capability to understand how much they don't matter to other people. Perhaps it's that as well.
They need a grounding.
Maybe. If you'd like to be told you don't matter, get in touch with me at Al Smaffy 0800 111 123, and I'll tell you immediately how much you don't matter.
I'd love it.
It's not a free service.
Call them.
It's not a free service. 0800 111 123. Let's find out.
No. Don't call
Alternatively,
Are you calling it?
Email your thoughts to hatchat@hat-films.com.
Yeah.
Maybe send Smith like a little fingal of how important you are, and we'll use it at the start of our next Hat Chat. Maybe you could pose a hypothetical to us on our Patreon and be a supporter of Al Smithy's little side venture of telling people their self-worth. That would be quite nice.
No, I'm not telling them their self-worth. I'm telling them that they don't.
The realities.
You know, they should have self-worth. It's more just that like how much you matter to other people. How much your self-worth matters to other people is not a reflection of your own self-worth, and it never should be. That's all I'm saying. If anything, it could be seen as a pep talk, but it really depends on how you view it. And to respond to a question in chat, yes, it will be sexy. It's going to be a sexy like pep talk, but a very real one as well. But there is music in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite nice. Oh, he's calling it now.
Well, yeah, you said you mentioned it was next. I'm just going to put it on hold. Number 200 in the queue.
No, this is part of the service. You get an intro music. It's we haven't paid anyone for this music, so please don't tell them.
No, of course not. Of course.
And it's like, nobody cares. Really I hope you're happy. Oh, I hope you're happy with yourself because you deserve to be happy with yourself. He's put the phone down. All right,
I put it down. I'm done with that call.
Oh, yeah,
hello.
On speaker.
Hello. If they don't stay on the line for more than 30 seconds, I don't get the £3 either. So
fair enough.
Damn it.
There has to be rules.
Well, thank
you. Off, Com.
thank you for listening today. We'll be back, of course, next week with more hat chatting. If you have any questions or queries, feel free to send them in. We always like good hypothetical questions. If you have any burning ones, send them in and we'll talk about it.
Or interesting real life Bigfoot stories.
Yes, that sort of thing.
Have you met
We're taking the very traditional route now, of going from aliens right on down the road to Bigfoot stuff. And at some point, we might get to revisiting flat Earth. We're not sure. But
all
I mean,
roads
QAnon
lead to flat Earth.
all roads lead to flat Earth via a QAnon forum. So it's an exciting time here on the internet.
Is.
Thanks
Not
for listening,
as exciting
everybody.
as our outro fingal. Thank you very much, MVRCL or Marcel. I didn't credit you enough at the start there, but thank you for sending that in. And please enjoy, and we'll see you all next week for episode 68. Goodbye, everybody. Have a bloody good day.
Bye, everybody.